Hey there, and welcome to this month's episode of the Business Besties Podcast. Now, I wanted to let you know this week's episode is going to sound a little different because it was a really special, unique occasion. Katie and I happened to both be in the same place at the same time. We were in Orlando. Both of us were speaking at the Podfest conference, and we have the privilege of getting to use some really amazing equipment from Shure microphones to record our episode for this month live. You'll hear background noise from the conference. You'll hear we were in the vendor area. So there's lots of background noise of people chatting and having great times and making connections and networking. And we pull in some of our favorite people that we met while we were there at Podfest to chat with us about the power and importance of in-person connections and in-person events and taking those relationships you built online and moving them offline when you have the opportunities. So I am excited for you to listen in. I'm excited for you to hear us and meet some of these incredible people that we were at Podfest with. And I will make sure we have their information linked down in the show notes so you can go and follow them and check them out. All right, guys, let's get to this episode of the Business Besties Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Business Besties. I'm Katie Brinkley.
I'm Kendra Swalls, and we are here live in person together in the same place at Podfest.
Yes, in-person events. They're back. They're happening, and it is so good. One, to be in-person events at an in-person event again, but two, to be with you.
I mean,
typically we are looking at each other through a Zoom screen, and so this is so. I was going to say encouraging, but so relieving. I don't know if that's the right word either. I'm just so excited to be in the same room.
Exciting. I'm like, what else are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Here?
I was trying to look for another word, and nothing came to me. So.
It's okay. No, I'm so excited. This is one of the few in-person events I've been to recently, and it's so nice to see people face to face. Yes. We spend so much time behind our screens, on our phones, looking at these beautiful headshots of people and these little video clips or listening to you in your earbuds, but to actually see people in real life, get to have a conversation with them, get to hug you, and it really is magical. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's magical. I love it. There's an energy that you don't get anywhere else.
And you can, hopefully for all of you listeners, you can hear the energy buzzing in this episode because we are recording it live. Mm-hmm. We are sitting at a booth using some Shure microphones, not gifted. I was going to say loaned to us by the Libsyn.
I wish they were gifted.
I know. I wish they were gifted. Hey.
Hey, Libsyn, if you're listening.
Yeah. The Libsyn has let us borrow their microphones, and we are recording live. And, one of the things that we've really enjoyed at this conference is the power of community that still happened during the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we realized really quickly when the pandemic hit how important community was and just how much we took for granted being able to be in person with people. Mm-hmm. And luckily, we live in an age where we had all this technology that allowed us to still stay in touch. Social audio really took off, and that's how obviously we met. That's how we met a lot of the people. It's funny here at Podfest, you'll run into somebody like, oh, how do you know so-and-so? Well, Clubhouse. Well, how do you know Clubhouse? Everything's Clubhouse. Or Instagram. But that's the two places that everybody knows everybody from. And so to see that we're now able to take those communities that we kind of built outside of Clubhouse and Instagram and move them into the real world, it's been really, really fun.
Well, I'm so excited because our very first guest that is going to join us on the show today is Valerie Morris, and she and I actually had the opportunity to get to know each other back in March of 2020 at Social Media Marketing World. She is also in Denver, and we got to know each other then, and then, the world shut down and kind of lost touch, but then the world opened up again. We met at another conference this year at Social Media Marketing World 2022, and now here she is at Podfest. She just walked on by. So, Valerie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, it takes us traveling halfway across the country just to see each other when we live about 30 minutes away from each other.
I know, right? Well, and Valerie, with what we're talking about on today's episode is the power of conferences, and especially podcasting, and how it's made an impact in our lives.
Sure.
So at Podfest, we've talked about this previously about how it's, really it's such a strong community. So tell us a little bit about your podcast and how you've really felt embraced by the podcasting community.
Well, it's interesting. So I first attended Podfest 3 or 4 years ago. It's been such a blur the last few years. I can't remember exactly what year it was. But back then, I really hadn't leveraged my podcast yet. And since then, I've now built out a podcast. I've got a general, regular cadence of episodes, and I've got the systems down. But back in the day, I came here really just because I do content marketing for myself and for my clients, and I knew that podcasting was a valuable part of that. And so I came just to learn and kind of get exposure to another angle of content marketing. I was really impressed with the variety of people that are here.
Yeah.
There's some people that their podcast is their big passion project. It's their baby, their side hustle. It's like a fun project for them. And then there's other people who are making really serious money doing podcasting.
For sure.
And there's such a huge range of people, but yet it was like anyone's welcome.
Yeah.
It was very open to, hey, if you're just here, you're a beginner, you can figure it out. But hey, if you're really serious about this, your people are here too.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed it.
Well, and I've been a guest on your show talking about the impact of conferences, the impact of events that they have on our lives. And I think that, with these, with Podfest especially, but with these conferences, it elevates everyone, you're speaking, the three of us are all speaking here at this event.
Right.
And we're all learning from each other. There's no competition.
No, not at all. I mean, sorry, come over here to the microphone. That's what I think for me has been really helpful being here is when you're isolated and alone in your business somewhere, it can feel like it's you against the world. And then you come here and you meet all these people in real life and you realize no, it's not me against the world. It's all of us in this together. And that's so important because when you are podcasting, again, I said this before, you're just in a room by yourself most of the time. You may be on Zoom with somebody, but then to actually come in here and meet people in real life, it helps kind of give you a sigh of, I'm not in this alone.
Exactly.
We're all here together. And I'm so glad that in-person events are back. And I think they're really, really amazing. So thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, tell me, what's the name of your podcast?
So my podcast is called Marketing Wins. It's all about how to get your next marketing or your next win in marketing. And we try to approach it from a very practical approach and get some ideas from different leaders all over the industry, just what they're doing that's working for them.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you around the hallways.
Sounds good.
All right. I don't know where Katie was. She walked away from me here. Okay, so I have a very special person here at Podcast with us. This is Cindy Ferguson. Cindy, say hi.
Hello.
So Cindy is my coaching client. She found me through a podcast. So tell everybody how you found me.
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. I was listening to another podcast. She did it her way, which is actually no longer in production, sadly, but she was a great business coach. And I happened to come upon your podcast as you were a guest. And I listened to it. I was on my way, I remember this, on my way to visit my mom here in Central Florida. And I was listening to you. And I thought and I heard about your story. And I just thought, I literally pulled over on the side of the road and thought to myself, that's it. She's it. She's the person that I want to coach me. And that's how I found you on a different podcast. And it was amazing because you were guest speaking on somebody else's podcast. And I was lucky enough to find you on that podcast. And then I found your podcast. And then I started listening to you and following you. And then I decided to reach out to you.
Yeah, I think we need to have a thing every time someone on here does podcast, we just get to take a shot.
Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be fun.
That'd be great.
It'd be a real entertaining show. No, but I wanted to have you come by and say hi because I think that speaks to the power of not only the power of podcasting, because obviously had it not been for me being on that show, you and I would never have connected. But then also the fact that now here we are in person, which we have never met in person before until yesterday. And we're able to meet in person, but it's not awkward. It's not uncomfortable. It's like I've known you forever. And it's because not only have I been in your ears for a long time, but also we've had that connection through Zoom calls and coaching calls and things like that. But so the transition from podcast to in person has not been an awkward thing. It's actually made us, I feel like, closer and stronger, and it's going to make our relationship even better. So, again, you can have a connection with someone online, and it can feel really powerful, but that in-person piece that we now get to have back again is so important. So,
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. Being a project manager that actually has worked virtually and actually, implemented multi-million-dollar projects from a virtual standpoint, I'm no stranger to, being able to talk to someone on a call, Zoom calls or whatever. Of course, back then it was Skype, so I was very comfortable reaching out, and kind of getting to know you and saying, you know what, I caught your podcast, I caught you on this show, I would love to kind of get to know you better. And it really is about connections and being able to make that connection. But when you really kind of, when I listened to the impact of your words on that podcast, it was very moving, and I just thought, she's it. She's the person I need to reach out to, and it's really the power of connection.
Yeah.
And being able to take action against that, and now having the pleasure of meeting you and Katie, of course, in person, it definitely makes it much more sweeter. So it's wonderful.
Well, so I know we're still building your business for you, but tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram.
Oh my goodness, on Instagram I am cindymarie.co.
Yeah, so go follow her because she's going to do amazing things coming up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks
so much for having me.
By.
You bet.
All right. Oh, I'm going to move over here and let Katie have that mic.
Awesome. Well, I just love this because we're bringing in
all
these.
Cool.
I know all these amazing people that we have had the opportunity. So up next here is Mike, and Mike Ham I've had the opportunity of knowing him for like a year and a half now.
Yeah, like Clubhouse started it, and then had you on my show, which was awesome, and then
then that show is no more.
Well, it's like, I use the joke, it's active, but it's like active in a sense, like you go to the doctor and you fill out the form, it's like how much exercise do you get, and you pick somewhat active, but you actually haven't worked out in like 2 months. That's about how active it is. So you're like, it's such a lie. But yeah, so that show is kind of on life support, but got a new show now, Greetings from the Garden State, so it's all about Jersey and all the cool stuff that Jersey has to offer,
But this is the thing, Mike, we met on social audio, I've been on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I was walking down the hall yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, there's Mike. You and I have never met in real life.
Never met in real life.
No.
Yeah.
And
right.
And it was just like, hey man, it's been a minute since I've seen you. How you been?
Yeah.
It wasn't like this is the first time I'm seeing you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like seeing.
You know what's
friend.
funny too? Like I was in a session, and I knew you were going to be here, and I was in a session, and I saw a blonde girl with a hat like that, and I was like, I feel like that's Katie Brinkley, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I didn't go over, and thank God I didn't, because it wasn't you. But I was like, but it was just like from behind. But yeah, I mean, like it's just so cool, and like there's so many people here, like like Larry standing over there. There's so many people here that I've never met in person, but I've just been spending the entire weekend so far with them.
Yeah.
Just because like we're
that's
friends.
My friend. That's my friend. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it's just so cool to see like like how the impact that some of these things that we do, like the podcasting stuff, the social audio stuff, like how much that can build relationships and get people connected.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess that goes to, in-person events are back.
Yeah.
It was about a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
They're still getting up and running. I mean, I think that Podfest last time had about 4,500 attendees. This time we're at about 1,700 attendees. That's still nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, which is still a ton, yeah.
It's still a ton of people, but it's coming back around. And I think that with these conferences, the thing that I like the most is how everyone there is to help elevate one another.
Yeah.
There's no competition. We're all here trying to help lift each other up. And what's been your biggest, I guess, not takeaway, but the thing that makes you the happiest about being at an in-person event again?
It's the energy. It kind of goes back to like what I was talking about before. So like the people that I know, and I put that in air quotes because it's audio, but like the people that I know, seeing them and actually being like in their presence, like we're doing right now, like this gets me so jacked up.
Yeah.
Like I walk away and you're like, come back, and like come
back,
on the show.
Come on the show.
And like, so I think that kind of stuff is so cool. Obviously you're going to hear like great speakers and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of good takeaways, but just like sitting and just kind of like, can I say bullshitting?
Yeah.
Bullshitting with people?
Yeah.
Like, we was just sitting by the pool or at karaoke last night or doing whatever we're going to do like later today.
Yeah.
Like, that's where like all this cool stuff happens because you just start like brainstorming. And like, that's like the magic of like these types of things is like, you might not even like listen to a speaker, but you can get so much out of these if you're surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Kendra and I were talking. I was like, man, I've only been to one session so far today, but
Yeah.
like, I wanted we wanted to record the podcast. We wanted to do that. And like, I still feel so fulfilled because of the conversations that I've had.
Yeah.
Because of this conference.
Right.
And there's the thing about podcasting is this, and then I'll let you go because I know that you have another session that I grabbed you away from. But the thing about podcasting is this: it's a community, and no matter where you are in your journey, if you have 2 episodes or 2,000 episodes under your belt, it doesn't make a difference.
Sure.
Everyone is here to help learn from one another, to help each other grow, and to help lift each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just even before, like just grab lunch. Like didn't even know who was going to be at lunch, but there was like 10 of us, and it was like the best lunch I've ever had because it was just like people talking about stuff that I get jacked up about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like they also get jacked up about it, and it's just so much fun. And like that one lunch was just maybe like the best thing that's happened to me
It's
in
the whole purpose of the trip.
months. Exactly. Yeah. Like I came here not knowing that I needed to go to that lunch, but I did. And I was like, wow, that was like life-changing, So it's so great.
Well, Mike,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course,
joining us live.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people listen to you and your episode?
So it's Greetings from the Garden State. Greetingsfromthegardenstate.com is the website. We're on any major podcasting platform, and so that's where you can get us.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. Totally appreciate you
absolutely.
Spending some time with us.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Katie.
So we have one more person that's going to come in and grab a seat.
I have to say really quickly, this person lives 20 minutes from me, and I didn't even know it till we got here in Florida. So it took us both getting on an airplane, traveling a 3-hour flight to realize
Spending
we live
half the day together.
Spending half the day together to realize we live 20 minutes from each other.
Yeah. And
he just got distracted.
He just got distracted. He's a pretty big deal around this Podfest thing, guys. So I mean, he's the man that everyone wants to stop and say hello to. But I want to come over here.
I know.
And
Larry.
Here he comes. All right.
Come have a seat.
The man with the red hat. Here he is, none other, Larry Roberts. Larry, thanks for joining us.
What's happening, everybody? Thank you for having me on here. This is amazing. This opportunity, this conference, everything is just awesome.
And Larry, you and I both have decided to leave our voices in the hotel room because we have been talking so much. So it's one of the things that comes with networking events, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you're a presenter. I had the opportunity to speak yesterday. So we've been speaking. I mean, all we're doing is talking.
Yeah.
I mean, literally all day, every day.
And as podcasters, you'd think that our vocal cords would be used to this, but I guess not.
No, not for a conference. Your voice just goes, no, I'm not going.
So, and Larry, you and I had the opportunity to meet on Clubhouse. You and Kendra just met yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it took half the day of hanging out together before we realized, as Kendra said, that you guys live like 15 minutes from each other.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how things just happen and you bring people together. That's one of the things of conferences. You never know who you're going to meet. And to know that I have literally a neighbor that's here that I have a lot of things in common with, it's just an amazing opportunity.
So
you realize, sorry, talk over you, Katie. You realize that, like, your circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller the more people, not smaller, but I mean, like, the world can seem so big until you meet people in person, have conversations. You're like, oh, we have so much in common, and like it just all kind of closes in, and the circle becomes more and more complete, I guess, is what I meant.
Yeah, well, and I think that's one of the things that's so magical about conferences. That's one of the things I loved about Clubhouse. It was kind of just this big conference.
Yeah.
You had the opportunity to meet people like you two right here.
Yeah.
I met you on Clubhouse.
Well, I met you on Clubhouse, and now we've become really good friends.
Yeah.
I mean, well beyond just knowing each other on Clubhouse, we're friends.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to have that kind of connectivity that you find in the most random places.
Yep.
But now we've gone from Clubhouse. We've been to several conferences together now. We spoke together at the last conference down in Austin. I mean, it's just amazing, the things that come from this type of community and this type of gathering here together.
Well, it just goes to show you, like, what can happen from a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I what is the word? I'm an extroverted introvert. Like, I recharge.
Ambivert. It's on his...
Ambivert.
Ambivert is the official term.
Oh, my
As you
gosh.
can see on my badge here, I have one of each. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we videoing this or is this audio?
Yeah, no, it's video and audio.
Oh, so you can see here I'm an introvert, an ambivert, and an extrovert simultaneously.
Yeah,
so,
he's also a VIP.
And I'm very important, very important.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is like, I know I need to get out and talk to people, but like, I also need that time. Like Kendra, she was just like, I just need to go to the room and like recharge for a second, but you never know what can happen just by having a conversation with somebody and, just seeing where it can go. And that's why I'm so happy that these in-person events are back.
Oh, dude, totally.
Okay, so I have a question for you as someone who's been to a lot of conferences.
Okay.
And as someone who, I love going to conferences, but I am a little bit more of an introverted extrovert. So, again, I do like to have conversations with people.
Okay.
I know a lot of people, though, who would be hesitant to come because they are coming by themselves, or they're like, I'm going to go and not know anybody. It's going to be, uncomfortable. So do you have advice for people who want to come to a conference or want to come to an in-person event but are maybe a little hesitant or nervous?
Get a red hat. No.
Yeah. The red hat is absolutely critical. Everybody has to have one. No, but in all seriousness, just know what you want to get out of the conference and go in there with that goal in mind that I want to achieve X. And understand that while it can be intimidating, you're never going to achieve X if you don't take the steps necessary to get there. So you got to kind of have that conversation with yourself and just step outside that bubble. And, we're at Podfest right now, and I've been to a ton of conferences. And the level of community that we have here at Podfest, it's on a different level. I mean, everybody here, there's, 1,500 people here, and everybody here is here to support one another, help each other grow. No one's judging anyone. No one is looking down on anyone. Regardless of what level of podcaster we're talking to, everybody is equal footing here.
Yep.
And it's such a perfect opportunity, especially as your first step, to step out and start, we were just talking about minimizing your circle.
Yeah.
And it's just an amazing opportunity for tremendous growth. I went to my first Podfest in 2020, and I've told a couple people this story already, but I went to trivia night back in 2020, and I was like, I don't want to go to this trivia night. This is going to be stupid. But my podcasting career literally changed complete direction that night. I happened to sit at the table that happened to win. So that was awesome.
That was not us last night.
Did not happen last night. Trivia this year was not as successful. But our table won, so I got introduced to the owner of Podfest, which that was a phenomenal relationship to establish. My current podcasting coach, he became my coach that night, happened to be sitting at the table. Had a tremendous influence. David Hooper is his name. If you guys ever come across David Hooper, he is amazing. His book is called Big Podcast. He is the man. But I met him that night, and everything changed from playing trivia at Podfest in 2020. So that's the same kind of thing that can happen to you. Because since then, I've gone on to speak on multiple stages, multiple virtual events. This is my 7th stage this year. Yep. And that's in 2 years. That's a 2-year time span. Yep. But if I hadn't come to Podfest, where would I be?
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, and I think that also, brings a good point too. Before we let you go, because like I said, before you came over here, I was like, oh, somebody else snagged him. He's everyone wants Larry. So, but that's the thing is, with these conferences and events, knowing what your goal is. Are you there to network? Are you there to learn?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you have been listening to the Girl Means Business podcast for any amount of time, then you know my love of email marketing runs deep. Not only is it a great way to generate new leads, but it's one of the most effective methods for nurturing warm leads and turning them into sales. Now, over the years, I've tested several email platforms, and my favorite by far is Flowdesk. Not only do they make email marketing simple and easy, even for the technically challenged, but they have everything you need to create stunning emails, capture leads, make sales, and automate the entire process, giving you time back in your busy day. And the cherry on top is you're only charged one flat fee no matter how many subscribers you have. So while other platforms will increase your price when you go over your pricing tier limit, Flowdesk has no price increases or hidden fees. If you're ready to give Flowdesk a try, click the link below in the show notes to save 50% off your first year. Let Flowdesk help you design emails people will love. Click the link below and check it out. I have a feeling you're going to love it just as much as I do.
Who there do you need to meet and make your introduction to? So know what your goal is, but 2, find these people and take full advantage of the opportunity that you have been given. You You never know what the next step is going to be. Look at you now. Look at what you have done in those 2 years.
Yeah, honestly, it's been great.
Sometimes you don't know who you're sitting next to. Like you've been to the table you went to. Like you went in that trivia night not knowing that was going to change your life. Sometimes just going into a room, sitting in a room, talking to the person next to you, you never know what opportunity that's going to present to you. So be open to having conversations with people.
Just take that step.
Yeah,
just take the step. You have to. You have to take the step.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Before you go,
Okay.
tell us about your podcast.
Oh, well, my podcast, it's about to launch as soon as I get my voice back. So look for it. Bitcoin Impact is the name of the show. And we're going to be talking about not the technical side of Bitcoin and blockchain, but the actual impact that it has on society, on the environment, and really just overall globally. Because so many people don't understand what Bitcoin or blockchain even is. They hear the terms, but they're like, what does that even mean to me? Yeah. And that's what this show is. It's the impact that Bitcoin and blockchain is having on each and every one of us, even if we don't realize it.
Oh, Larry, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad that you agreed to bring us along on the ride, and so been so great to hang out with you. And I'm hoping that next year's trivia goes a little bit better because that.
Yeah, you gotta brush up on your trivia.
Yeah, I think I held the team up. In all honesty, I mean, I don't know, but maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
Well, thanks again, Larry, for popping by.
Thanks, everybody.
We have one more person that we're going to bring on over here to say hello to, and here she comes, Juliet.
Hi.
Is joining us right now.
How are you? I almost fell off the chair there for
a second. I know. Kendra and I have been swapping positions on the microphone, and Juliet, she and I had the opportunity to get to know each other on a social audio app. Apparently, this is the thing, though. It was not Clubhouse. We were both on Clubhouse.
Yes,
we did not get to know each other then. It was on Fireside. So, Juliet, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet you in person. I mean, seeing you on Fireside all the time, and then seeing you as I walked in, seeing your hat and being like, oh my God, there's Katie.
Yeah. Well, so but back up just a little bit here now. So we're at the event, and we both have been on Fireside. I'm wearing the hat that I wear in all of my social media avatar photos. I didn't have it yesterday, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and wear the hat today. And it has made such a difference. I know we were giving Larry a hard time about his red hat, but that's what people see. It's the brand. And you saw the hat. You knew who I was.
I saw the hat, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Katie, I think. Let me go over and see. And then I turned you around, and there you are.
Well, yeah. And so you were on Fireside, and that's where we got to know each other. So just tell us a little bit about your shows with the S on Fireside.
Yes. So I have YNS Live, and that's Your Next Stop, shortened. And I have YNS Live. I also have YNS Live with NFL Thread and YNS Live with NFL Thread Pivot. So my original show, YNS Live, is really where I interview people that have followed a passion, that have really interesting stories where they've either started a charity, made it out of business, pivoted their life. And then I started YNS Live with NFL Thread because one of my guests on my original podcast, Your Next Stop, was Cynthia Zordich, who is an NFL wife. So her husband, Michael, was in the league for 12 years. And her story fascinated me so much that I wanted to know more. I wanted to get into the kind of the minds of a professional athlete spouse. Yeah. And so we started our show, YNS Live with NFL Thread. And that's exactly what we do on there. We interview women of the NFL. So we talk to people that, the wives, the spouses, that are in that realm. So what they're doing behind the scenes when their husband is injured, or when he's transitioning out of the league, or when he's trying to get into the league. We've had some really interesting stories on there. And then we started a new segment called Pivot. So YNS Live with NFL Pivot, Thread Pivot, because we wanted to get into the minds deeper of what it's like when you're transitioning out of the league. What does that look like?
Well, so, and Juliet, we're recording this one live right now. You can hear all the people mingling. You can hear the energy in the room. You do yours live, and one of the things that's great about Fireside is that you do have the video component that happens live. You get the transcripts and everything. So, is this your first in-person event of 2022 since the pandemic?
Well, so no, I was at the Super Bowl. So I did.
Oh, at the Super Bowl.
So I was. So my YNS Live with NFL Thread, we broadcasted live at the Super Bowl. So there's two events, and that was one of the things we wanted to get out there. There's two events that the women of the NFL put on before the Super Bowl. So there's so much for a girl to do at the Super Bowl. It's not about the game for a lot of them. Some of them are, and it doesn't matter if they believe in the game, if they want to be in the game, but they also are doing things where they're networking behind the scenes. They're like talking about what they're doing, how they're building business, how they're helping their husbands do things, staying connected. And then there's a charity that people don't realize. It's called Off the Field Wives Association. And they every year for 21 years have been doing a fashion show where they raise millions of dollars in that city for a charity of that city. So I was able to be at both. So I was on the red carpet and I used Fireside. So I did live event there. So that was my first. And that was really like, I'm like, am I going to have to wear a mask? Because if I'm going to have to wear a mask, how am I going to do this? This is going to be so awkward and weird. We did not. It was like COVID didn't exist. It was kind of almost like,
it actually kind of feels like that. Like here, like it kind of like there are a few people wearing masks, and I mean, like there's hand sanitizer stations everywhere. But I mean, I definitely feel like it almost feels normal again.
It does. It feels good. It feels really good.
Yeah, I got Kevin, try and get Kendra back on the microphone over here too. Well, and so with this event, like what was one of the biggest takeaways that you wanted to have so you're also speaking at the event. Why did you want to, what's the biggest takeaway from this? Like when you leave, like it was worth it because of blank.
The connections, human connections, meeting you live in person has just been so nice. And other people that I'm like, oh wait, I think I know them. I've seen that, I've seen their picture. I've seen them in, Clubhouse or Fireside. And now I get to see them in person and really interact. And the connection is really the big part.
Well, I think that's the theme of all of this is connections. And I think it's so true. We all come into this, we're like, I want to learn something, or I want to have exposure in my business and things like that. But I also think that like most of us would say it's the connections.
Yes.
And that is really like the key piece. And not that you need to go into an in-person event with, kind of that end goal in mind, but I think that's a big part of it. You need to come into it going, I'm here to connect with people in person. I'm here to have conversations. I'm here to learn. And then everything else is just kind of a bonus.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it is, as you said, the social audio that came in, kind of pre-pandemic, pandemic, and then having that interpersonal connection, but then having it where now you're really like interacting with the people and seeing the people has been really special.
And that's the thing, the connections, the relationships that you make here in at a conference, and then you can take that and you and I were already talking about trying to go to another event together in October. And so I mean, like that's what can happen at these events, and it all just takes stepping outside of your comfort zone and just being willing to say to be that fly on the wall and join the conversation, to ask somebody like, hey, is this seat available?
Well, and I've never been to a conference where I felt like people were not friendly,
right.
I think people get nervous and anxious to go to a conference where they may not know people, because they're like, well, what if I go in and I'm not part of the inner crowd and I don't know anybody and I'm sitting by myself? But I've never gone into a situation where I've felt like someone didn't invite me into the conversation, or someone didn't say, hey, come sit over here, or you start talking to one person, then you know this other person, and it becomes kind of this domino effect of like everybody that you've met, and now you have this whole new circle of people that you didn't walk into this conference having any knowledge of before you got here. That's, to me, that's so cool.
100%. And, I was just saying to my husband and my kids, and I think I shared this with you guys, all of a sudden yesterday when I first came, I was like, wait a second, I actually know no one. But that's okay because I'm fearless. So it's like I will go up and talk to people just because that's who I am, and I don't really get nervous. I'm like, I'll just start asking questions and meeting people. But not everyone's like that. Not everyone has that comfort zone. So taking a friend to a conference is also, it's nice to do that, or knowing a group of people. But, again, with you and your hat and the friendliness, people all, this is what I talk about on my podcast, and this is what I truly believe, that we all have a story. And if we just stopped and listened to each other, we can all learn from each other and we can all connect with each other. It's just everyone's going in such a speed of life that they don't get that opportunity. And when you're at a conference like this, people are stopping and talking and wanting to know, and it's just how you connect more with people.
1,000,000%. Well, Juliet, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us again where people can find your podcast.
Yes, so it's Your Next Stop. You can find me on all the socials. I am Juliet Hahn, and that's JulietHahn. And you can find me really anywhere else. But thank you, ladies. It's so nice.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you stopping by. And Man, Kendra, so with this episode here, it's been amazing. Like, we've just been grabbing people as they walk on by here. Like, hey, come sit down. And I kind of feel
just
like
throw somebody into the spotlight all of a sudden.
And you know what? Every single one of them sat down and just ran with the questions. We're like, yeah, sure, okay, we're doing a podcast. Yeah, I'm doing it. We'll talk podcasting.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They left themselves open for opportunity.
Yeah. And that's, we talk about with podcasting, like, that this is the conversations that are happening on these episodes and these shows where you don't need a script. You don't need to be fully prepared. Like, it is just conversations. And that, I think, if you take anything away from this, conversation and connection are the two biggest parts of going to in-person events and just, I think, building a community and a business at all. It's connections. I already forgot what I said. Communicate, conversations, and connections. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I totally got distracted there. That is the downside of in-person. There's too much going on around me. I get ADHD going on here.
But no, and leave yourself open to opportunities. As Juliet said, if you need to have a friend come with you, or a business partner, have them come with you. But when you go to these, you never know what opportunity could exist. Mike said it. Valerie said it. Larry said it. It changed his business. Leave yourself open to have those conversations and build that community. Be willing to, and it's hard for a lot of people to go and sit at a table, but you never know what could happen from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to our Business Besties episode this month, coming to you from Podfest. If you want to learn more about any of the people featured on this month's episode, make sure you check out the show notes where we'll have all of their information linked for you. And make sure you tune in again next month for our follow-up episode. We recorded one more episode live at Podfest, and it's going to be a really good one. So make sure you tune in next month as well. As always, have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we'll see you back here soon.